I see the most successful people are the ones who are able to structure their life in the way they really want to live it. So, I think having, a career and then a job that you're really passionate about and you're able to pursue some of your passions that way. But also, like, if you're really into traveling, you're able to fit that into your life and to have that balance. And, for me as a mom, having time to spend with my family and my boys while also now chasing a career and hopefully something that will be a staple in the community for years and years to come. It's definitely a riskier path. It's not so clear-cut of what success looks like now for me, but it's chasing what feels right.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Name Drop podcast. Today we're sitting down with an entrepreneur in the hospitality space who recently left her corporate career to start something completely different. There'll be lots of great learnings in this episode about how to balance a family and a business, some of those early lessons that you learn when you first start your entrepreneurial journey, and how to deal with the challenges that come along with the hospitality industry. Enjoy the episode, and thanks for tuning in. Okay, we're going to start with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
If you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be?
Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, why?
Yes.
You're a Reese
She's
girl.
just my favorite actress. I love her interest in books. I just feel like she's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to the podcast she did with Dak Shepard. And I just think she's wise and she has such a good outlook on family and career, and seeing her success. I just think she's such an inspiration.
Yeah, I like her too.
Yeah.
What is the most used app on your phone?
Probably Instagram, especially now. It's been a huge part of our business and growing and connecting with the audience. And then, I use it personally, and great way to keep up with friends and family and all of life's changes.
It's true. It's true. What's the last show you binge watched?
Last show I binge watched Nobody Wants Us, which is very appropriate. Kristen Bell was great, and I watched the first season, and I actually rewatched the first season with my husband because I knew he would love it, and then we watched the second season together.
Okay, so did you think the second season was as good as the first?
No, I
Me
didn't.
either.
No, I don't like them as a
Me
couple
either.
anymore.
I
I feel like
know.
they're better apart.
Same.
So, yeah.
Like they were a little annoying or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the sisters are kind of the worst.
They kind
and
of
I
were
was like,
the worst.
yeah, like you're not doing yourself any
No,
favors.
and that's not
here.
how it was.
No.
I don't remember it being like that.
No.
Yeah. It's like,
Still hilarious,
Yes.
but yeah, I think
Yes.
they need to go their separate ways.
what was your very first job?
My first job, I worked at the Peanut Roaster in Henderson, North Carolina, where I grew up. So that was a family-run business, and they produce all sorts of different peanut flavors. And I actually worked in the back, and I gift wrapped everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so are you still a good gift wrapper?
I honestly think that has helped me tremendously during Christmas.
I bet.
Yeah, and even still, I know exactly how to tie the cans up, and I'll still give those for gifts. So yes,
That's
great
awesome.
skills.
That's awesome. Last one. What's one thing you're currently learning about?
Currently learning about, I'm actually, my dad is a devout Christian and is, super into his faith, and he has been a great mentor for me from a faith perspective. So he is really invested in this platform now called the Bible Project, and it's about learning about the history of how the Bible was created.
Oh, cool.
And getting a really good foundation of like the timeline and who wrote the books. And that's been a really great experience, and we're learning about that together.
That's awesome. How special.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Amazing. So without telling us who you are, what's top of mind professionally today?
Today, it changes every day. But today we are meeting with our social team to talk about content for upcoming events and getting ready for the holidays. I'm doing some holiday planning. November kind of came upon us quick, and we know it's going to be a while. I think we're 50 days from Christmas as of today.
Crazy.
So getting ready for that, and being in the industry I'm in now, a lot of forward thinking goes into that. And then I'm reviewing some menu changes with our chef.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of large variety.
A
of,
big variety.
Yeah, different types of things.
Yeah.
Brag about yourself. What are you really good at?
That's hard to do. I've always been one to put a lot on my plate. And, I think being really organized and having grit to kind of manage things. And, I do like to do all and do it well, which is not always possible. But, I think I've been, successful at structuring my day and, really looking forward to what I want to accomplish and then backtracking and figure out how I want to do that. So, being a mom and now a business owner, it's taken a lot of balance to try to figure out how to do that while managing social life, while, staying involved with family and keeping those relationships strong. So really learning how to manage time and put the right amount of effort into what needs to be done that day, I feel like has really helped over the past few years.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to get some tips on that because I feel like I'm working on it all the time. Yeah. What's been the most pivotal moment in your career?
I would say this year has definitely been the most pivotal for sure. I left a corporate job and now I'm running a business on my own. I have some partners too, which are helping kind of steer us in the right direction. But I think taking this career leap and doing something completely different in a completely different field has definitely been the biggest pivot I've made so far. Previously, I was always within sales and marketing from a corporate perspective. I was in the financial service industry, shifted over to tech. Got my MBA in 2022, knowing that I wanted to do something a little bit different. And then this was the year that the leaps happened. So it's been a big year for sure.
Exciting. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah.
How do you define success today? And has that definition changed over time for you?
It's definitely changed over time. I think coming out of college, it's easy to look at, who has the biggest salary, like who is, getting the biggest title, who's progressing. And I've learned that careers are very personal and it's not always a linear line to success and, a very straight path to growth. So I think, making the realization that, I wanted to do something other than corporate, I wanted to get out from my computer, not be kind of tied to a strict 9 to 5, but how could I make my career work for me and work for a life that I was really wanting to live? So, I think in the past it was easy to define success in a very black and white way of like how much money you're making, what is your title, how far are you advancing up the corporate ladder. But now for me personally, I see the most successful people are the ones who are able to structure their life in the way they really want to live it. So, I think having, a career and a job that you're really passionate about and you're able to pursue some of your passions that way. But also, like, if you're really into traveling, you're able to fit that into your life and to have that balance. And, for me as a mom, having time to spend with my family and my boys while also now chasing a career and hopefully something that will be a staple in the community for years and years to come. It's definitely a riskier path. It's not so clear-cut of what success looks like now for me, but it's chasing what feels right every day and, making sure I'm sticking to my values and what I really want the rest of my life and our trajectory as a family to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. What relationship has been most impactful on you?
Yeah.
Professionally,
I would really say my husband. He has always encouraged me to, chase whatever, is really stirring inside of me. So even going to get my MBA, super supportive, wasn't easy on us. We had to structure our time and it was time away from him and away from our relationship, a lot of studying, but he's always been my biggest supporter and cheerleader through that. And even today, as we've opened the business and, we have 2 boys and he's able to, help and support and tag team to make sure that our family's taken care of when each of us has, a business matter to attend to. He's just a great partner and gives great advice, on personal front and business. He owns his own business as well. So we're 2 entrepreneurs trying to figure it out, and it's very stressful. It's taxing on both of us, but I can't imagine doing it without him.
Yeah, that's amazing. What kind of business does he have?
He renovates and builds houses.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have a lot going on.
Yeah, and he was in a partnership, and then we moved to a different city, so he opened up his own thing, and he's building projects and trying to figure out what path of construction he really wants to take. So
amazing.
It's been fun to watch him grow and succeed and, make these big decisions for himself too that, hopefully will pay large dividends down the road. But yeah, it's definitely not boring at our house at all.
It doesn't sound
day.
like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it. Mm-hmm. So tell us who you are and tell us about your business.
Yes, I am Haley Borden. I'm the founder of Good Graces, which is a new market bar and eatery in Raleigh.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. So tell me, I have so many questions, but what inspired you to open Good Graces and leave the corporate world?
Mm-hmm. I think getting my MBA I started in 2020 amidst the pandemic, so it was kind of the perfect time to do it because we were all just kind of sitting around.
Yep.
Graduated in 2022, had my son a month before I graduated. And at that point, I think it was becoming very clear to me of, what do I want career to look like? Like, how can I, make life and career work in tandem together? And looking at this, new baby and trying to figure out, what can I build, hopefully that it's a legacy I can be proud of, that I can look back in 20 years and, create something and do something and not just kind of continue on the wheel that I was on. There's so many benefits of working for corporate. You have great stability. Your schedule is pretty defined. They had great maternity leave, great health care. So leaving that I knew would be risky, and trying to figure out, what was that worth it? Like, right. could we make this leap and leave some of those things behind in pursuit of hopefully something that is bigger and, is more aligned to what I want to achieve in life. So I just kind of had my eyes open. I didn't know what necessarily that venture would be, but I knew the things that I loved and I was passionate about. Like, I love, being together with community. I love events and I love bringing people together in kind of new and different ways. I love great food. I love great coffee. So I had a friend that worked for our landlord, and she texted a group of us and just said, what do y'all want to see in Raleigh? Like, what's missing? And a common theme was a concept like Good Graces that kept popping up of, something that feels elevated and special, that, also is very approachable and something that can fit into your everyday life. And I reached out to a couple places that I knew of in other cities to see if they were interested in franchising or bringing their concepts to Raleigh. And nothing just seemed like a good fit, or they weren't expanding within our market at that time. So then it shifted to, okay, well, what if I created something that's Raleigh specific on our own? And we can really try to fill in a gap in Raleigh specifically that fits what the clientele is looking for. So I was new to the hospitality industry, totally new. So I quickly kind of pulled together a team of people that were experts in their fields. I worked with a great hospitality consultant who advised on everything from our kitchen layout to a beginning menu to construction. We worked with a great Raleigh designer who was able to kind of bring this half-baked vision at this point of, wanting something that felt special, that felt very well designed, but not stuffy. And he was able to design Good Graces to be, I think, kind of have feminine touches. It's warm. It's I think something new that Raleigh really hasn't seen, but it's not overtly girly at the same time. So he did a great job of pulling together kind of the market aspect, what our bar looked like, and then the rest of our seating to kind of fill in the gaps. And then my partners, they have more experience on the margins of hospitality and, where you need to go, your COGS, your, P&L statements to make sure that everything is aligning and that we're kind of on a path to growth. So being still a few months in, we're working a lot of the operations and the expenses and costs out. But I think having their expertise so we can really look forward and figure out how to grow and expand this further is going to be extremely valuable.
Yeah. What a journey.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like you've learned a lot in the past year.
Yes. Absolutely.
What's been the most surprising part about making that transition from corporate into being an entrepreneur?
I don't know if this was surprising, but it's probably a little more intense than I thought, but it's nonstop. It's hard to turn it off, and I've put so much heart and time and effort and money into building this. So you just want so deeply for it to be successful and for people to see your vision. Mm-hmm. So, it's a human industry, and like, we're going to make mistakes, and service can be tricky. So, I think being able to give grace, to people and hope people, as our opening days continue to roll on, that people are giving grace to us as well. And, that doesn't always happen, and it's hard not to take it personally, but, just recognizing that it's a growth process. It's not going to be perfect from day one, but as long as we're making steps in the right direction, that's all we can really do.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. How has your vision changed now that the business is open? Mm-hmm. It's this tangible, living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
When I was building the process to start Indie, I had this like idyllic vision of what it was going to look like. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, pieces of it still exist today, but a lot of it has changed once you get into the reality of it. So I'm curious, have you seen pieces of it change already?
Totally. We started where it was more of a counter service model, where you ordered at the counter, you took a number, you sat down. We still wanted to offer hospitality, so we would have servers coming around to fill up the waters and give utensils and check in on you. But we were learning quickly that model wasn't working for us. We designed the space to be really cozy and, somewhere you want to stay and hang out. So, it was hard for us to pace the kitchen because everyone was coming through the line at the same time. Yeah. And then people would, sit in random places where we weren't maximizing our seating capacity at the same time. So it took a while to figure out, okay, counter service may not be the move. Mm-hmm. I think people want to sit and experience and to be waited on.
Yeah.
So we transitioned to a server model, where they still have handheld devices so they can make it quick, and our kitchen is way more easily able to keep up with the volume and pace things out. So if you are coming in for a business lunch, you can get in and out within an hour, and you're not sitting around waiting. That's something we're still tweaking to make sure it makes sense. And, our servers are trained to kind of, exude the values that we had from day one of hospitality, of warmth, of going the extra mile if you're visiting us. So, we still have learnings to do there. But overall, I think that was a really good shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And you made it quickly, it sounds.
Yeah. And I think being able to identify the problems quick, has been a challenge. I know anywhere we evolve, I want it to be really thoughtful. So much thought, has gone into it a year in advance leading up to it. So it can be difficult to make those quick decisions because it's so different from your original vision. But I think listening to customer feedback and, listening to our staff of what's feeling right to them and how they're interacting too, has been really valuable. And, being fresh to the industry, that's really where we have to put our focus. Whereas for me, I'm looking at so many things as a consumer. I try to sit in different spots within Good Graces and, try different things and really put myself in the mindset of, not the owner, but, if I was coming in to experience this, how is this feeling? So it's a lot of listening to my gut, but also, we have a great chef. We have a great GM that, they've been in the industry for a really long time. So working together as a team to make these good decisions and staying true to what our values were when we started.
Amazing. What has been the high and the low of your entrepreneurial journey so far?
The high, being in there every day, it is a very just warm space. And it's so fun getting to know some of our regulars that are coming in, to see my friends and family coming in and enjoying it. And, that's really where you feel like, the fruits of this whole project, are being taken advantage of for sure. To hear someone that had a great experience and, they had a great meal and then they're going to the market and enjoying all of our local and specialty goods that we've curated on those market shelves. So, seeing someone embrace a vision and totally get it and love it, I think that's like the most rewarding thing for sure. The hardest part on the flip side is when someone doesn't see the vision or, if someone's not having a great day and you aren't able to meet their expectation, that's really hard because, so much goes into it. And, if they leave a negative review or, aren't kind to our staff, it's it's a difficult industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's hard not to take it personal because you just want that to come through to everyone at all times, and it's impossible to do. We're people and we make mistakes, and as I said, of giving people grace and hoping you get it in return, that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah. And how do you manage that? I mean, to your point before, you're in the people business for sure, and hospitality is hard.
Yeah.
When the negativity is happening, how much do you like tune in and listen to it versus tuning it out?
Yeah, I think this is something I'm going to have to practice and learn how to best deal with it. I think you look at reviews, you take the time to read them, and you don't have to make a big decision based on every review.
Sure.
Someone may love an entree item, the next person may hate it. And a lot of that is taste, and you have to kind of, take the reviews, and if there are nuggets of, something was wrong with service, or we shouldn't have said that, or, there was something off with this menu item, and maybe it is worth taking a deeper look at it today. That's what I'm doing with our chef today, to see if that feedback is valid. And I think what's hard is knowing, is this feedback indicative of a larger issue,
right,
or is this an individual taste thing? So I think being able to, have those good relationships with customers, and the server model has helped that too, of having that one-on-one interaction where they have a spot to give feedback instead of automatically turning to the internet,
right,
and get behind their keyboard. So, that's something that we hope with time, we're 3 months in, not even. So I try to give myself and our staff and our kitchen team grace as they figure it out. And, we're still early days, and we're in this for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to build on that and constantly look for ways to improve on a daily basis and make those small tweaks that just make it even better.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, always good to listen and hear, but also, to your point, be thoughtful about, intentional about what pieces need to be taken back into the business, and not take it all to heart. But that's hard, especially early on. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Everything feels like a personal hit,
It does. And I'm a people pleaser at heart. Yeah. Like, nothing makes me happier to see someone happy and enjoying it. So, I have to learn to let God let go sometimes. Yeah. You can't please everyone. No. And, that's a lesson that I will continue to try to learn.
Yeah. It's hard in the beginning. I think when you start a company, at least from my experience, in the early days, it's like you and your identity and the company are like one and the same. And then they start, as you grow and the business grows, you start to separate a little bit more. But in the beginning, everything is so closely personal because it's this thing that you concepted, and it's your vision, and it's your day-to-day. And it's tough in the beginning. It just feels so close to home.
Yes, and it's just intense.
It is.
That's the word.
It's really intense. Yeah.
It's, I'm learning how to shut things off, especially at night, and like knowing I want to give the time that my boys deserve from me, and like pour into them, and having to kind of turn off that stress and just know that, this doesn't define me. It's a passion. It's a project that I want to be wildly successful, but, I'm separate from this too.
Absolutely.
And that's been something that I hope will continue to get easier as time goes on, but it's hard for sure.
Yeah. Has becoming an entrepreneur impacted how you show up with your family or in your personal life? Do you think that it's changed you at all?
It's definitely added some resilience for sure. I think now, especially that we're in the early days, it's required a ton of my time, more so that, our family has been awesome and super supportive, and we have a great community who have been able to kind of step in, and, if I need to run over to Good Graces to help with something, they're able to help on the home front. So that's been huge. But, I think it's given me a deeper appreciation for, the life that we have, and, that I was able to build and create something like this. I know not everyone could, if they didn't have this support system. So I think it's just given me a new lens of, being incredibly grateful for the life that we have and that we've built, and the partnership that my husband and I have.
Yeah. That's amazing. So what does an average day look like? How do you structure your days?
It is completely different. Right now in I was just talking to a friend about this. When I'm there, I want to be interacting with customers and helping our servers. And, that could be clearing plates from tables. It could just be checking in, with someone who just got their meal to make sure everything's tasting okay. It could be unboxing products for our market shelves and creating gift boxes. We've been doing some more corporate orders of,
Awesome.
They want this Christmas box and they want 5 local goods. So it's, creating things like that meet their price point. We're starting to look more at events and that community engagement that I'm so passionate about, and shifting from more of a reactive to a proactive and planning for, beyond holidays and spring and summer, and what can we do to continue to pull in that community with, if it's a Mahjong open play lesson or, we have a featured speaker or book signing. That's the stuff that I'm really excited to get going, to make people feel like Good Graces is kind of a one-stop shop that – you can come in and get a quick coffee, or, you can come in to hear a great speaker and go out with girlfriends and have a glass of wine and figure out how to make it that kind of home base for people and continue to build and structure a strategy around that.
Amazing. So, yeah, really being a part of the community and a space for people to gather outside of just a coffee shop or a place to have a meal or have a drink.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Totally.
That's awesome. How exciting. And what's the community response been like?
We've seen a great response from the community. Our first opening weeks, we were definitely understaffed. I don't think we expected to see some of the reaction that we were getting, which to me just, reaffirmed this idea that Raleigh was looking for a spot like this, which is super encouraging. So, we saw a huge boom. That traffic has sustained, and we're kind of now figuring out how to keep people coming back and, keep that momentum going. So, we've been extremely excited to see the potential, and, feeding from that excitement from the community has been awesome.
Yeah.
I think there's ways that we can continue to build and grow, and we know there are some kinks in those first few weeks, and there still are that, may have impacted the customer experience, but, how do you build off of that, and how do you continue to, make Good Graces this spot that people want to come back to on a weekly basis and keep that consistency coming?
Yeah, that's awesome. When we moved back down here in July, I think it was probably a week after you all opened. I said to my husband, "Oh, we got to go to this new place. It's very it reminds me a lot of Two Hands."
Okay.
Which is like a cafe sort of concept that's in New York.
Okay.
And it started in New York, but now they have multiple locations. And we went over, and the line was out the door, like wrapped down Maker's Alley. And I was like, oh my gosh,
yes,
this is crazy.
Yeah, it's
amazing,
yes.
Honestly, amazing. So yeah, was that a surprise to you?
Yes.
Were you like, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was. And I think that's where we were like, is this counter service model working? Because, people are lined up out the door. So, that's helped us manage traffic a little bit. I was expecting there to be buzz and excitement for sure.
Yeah.
In those first couple of weeks, we were not staffed for that, which is a great problem.
That is a great problem to have.
It's still a problem.
Yes,
and, so it was very exciting to see that. And, Maker's Alley in general is a great district. I think there's so many fun things coming to it. And, knowing that we're still kind of in a construction zone, there's still so much going on around us. And that's not really doing us any favors right now. We're still seeing the traffic we were hoping to see. So I'm really encouraged for the future, and especially as things really open more in spring of 2026. I think it's going to be a really awesome spot for, if you have a family, if you don't, you just live in these apartments. And so I'm excited for the future growth of the Innovation District. I think what Kane's doing over there is really cool and really unique in Raleigh.
Me too. It's beautiful too. They did a great job.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish you knew earlier in your career?
One thing I wish I knew earlier, I think it goes back to the definition of success and what that looks like. And, I think it was easy for me to graduate, say corporate's the next best thing. And, just kind of fall into a rhythm of what that corporate journey would look like. And I wish I'd paid a little more attention to, what would drive me, like what brings me joy? How can I kind of make that into a career? And that's just hard to know at first. I learned so much in corporate, and my first job, actually out of college, was one of my favorites I've ever had. I was working in sponsorship marketing for Bank of America, and I would work with different professional sports teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox, and we would do events, client engagement events with Bank of America and with these sports teams. And I think that's where, I really started seeing kind of these events and, bringing people together. And it was like these building blocks that, I think led me to where I am today of figuring out, what do I really enjoy doing. And then I transitioned to Cisco. They are an amazing company. I mean, so many great benefits. There's great, brilliant people that work there. But I think I started to realize that I was chasing things that weren't really bringing me joy. Maybe it was the paycheck, maybe it was the title, and I would leave my computer screen and I just wasn't feeling that sense of fulfillment that I was hoping to have in a career.
Yeah.
So I think it took a while to learn these lessons, and I think kind of going back to the point of it not being linear, I took a hard left of creating this in an industry I've never really been a part of, and knowing there's going to be some bumps in the road, but I'm really encouraged by this trajectory. And, hopefully this is something that my boys can watch grow and build. And, it's a legacy that they're a part of too. So there's a lot of excitement on that front too.
That's amazing. Awesome. At 21, did you ever think you'd be doing what you're doing now?
No, I don't think I would ever. If I'd looked at my 21 self and said, you're going to open a restaurant, I would have been like,
they're like, no.
Yeah, no chance. But, I think if you took a step further of, what can this concept bring with the community, with offering great food and hospitality, I would say, okay, like that makes sense. There's more to it. So definitely didn't think it would leave me here, but I'm very glad it did.
Yes, and it sounds like you have a lot of purpose in what you're building and the ties back to your family and your children and this community. And I think that can show up and look a lot of different ways. And for you, it's a restaurant, cafe, market concept that will hopefully continue to evolve into different things as well, which is really exciting.
That's the goal. Is
there anything that keeps you up at night right now?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get stressed about just operations and how do we cut this cost or, this one negative review. Like, how can we address that? It's easy to, let some of that keep you up, and just knowing that changes need to be made, but what are the best next changes? And it's definitely not black and white anymore. Where, there's no one answer to a given problem, and trying to make the best decision with the information you have at the time, and just praying and hoping it's the right one, and making an informed, educated decision. But, knowing a lot of the shifts and moves that we're making, it's not a clear answer, and it's hard to predict the future, but you just have to trust in your gut and your team and the information you have that, you're taking the best next step forward.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's thinking about leaving corporate to start their own business?
I would say take a lot of time to research the industry. Have a clear business plan and path, because I think it's easy to get a little lost. Once you're in it, and staying true to your vision, and I think having a really solid foundation of what you really want to get out of this. What does this industry look like? Like, what is the best path to success? So you just have this really clear foundation that you can go back to and you can revisit. And also asking a ton of questions, building those relationships. I think having our consultant, our designer, some of these people who knew more about these things than I did, and like being able to identify those gaps within me where I knew I didn't have the expertise or this experience, like I needed someone to help, and being really clear about what those gaps are, in your toolbox, so you can lean on others to help. So I think having a community and having mentors and people you can go to is huge.
Huge, yeah. And having the awareness and humility to know where you need the help makes I think, a massive difference.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, where can people find you and where can they find Good Graces, online and offline?
Yeah. Our Instagram is at Good Graces Raleigh. Our website is goodgracesraleigh.com. We're located in the Innovation District in North Hills off of St. Albans Drive. We're surrounded by other women locally owned businesses, which is really exciting. So it's a great place to check out.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys can find us on Instagram at namedrop.pod, and I'm at Mal Bakes. Thanks so much.